What I was going to do was define national conservatism, because I'm curious about it. I joined the movement, and now I'm at its first event. And I'll do that in 2 minutes. Why is it a good idea? If you think conservatism is a good idea, all you got to do is think that some stuff happened a long time ago that was pretty good and we ought to keep it. Doesn't mean you want to keep everything. It means you want to keep the good parts. And if you don't think that, then you're an idiot. Why is the nation a good idea? The word nation comes from a Latin word that means birth. It comes from the same Latin word as the word nature. It means how things grow, how they're born, come to be, and grow. The claim is, in the classic works, that nationhood is natural to us. It grows from this fact that I can talk to you and you can understand what I say, and we're the only beings on earth that can do that. Aristotle writes, in paraphrase, Book 1, Chapter 2 of the Politics, animals then use their voices to indicate pleasure and pain, but we use ours to distinguish the just from the unjust, the advantageous from the disadvantageous. And therefore, he goes on to say, we form political communities and learn and live under laws. And if we don't live under laws, we live in chaos. So those two things go together, to my opinion. And it's a grievous fact in recent history. It starts with historicism in Germany, and it comes into America through progressivism. And this idea that we're going to transcend the nation, which means we're going to transcend our own being, our nature, and that we're going to have different kind of order now where people in charge run everything according to scientific knowledge. Now that is spread into the right, into the Republican Party at least, extensively in America, and that's what provoked this move toward national conservatism, which I join and like. So there's that. But Yoram back there, whom I don't know him very well, but I know because everybody knows him by reputation, he's an incredible mischief. And he says that I have to talk about the idea of the Christian nation. So here we go. I'll talk about it. Is this a Christian nation? There are two answers to that. One is emphatically yes, and one is emphatically no. And they are both true, but you have to understand what that means. I begin by saying that I myself am a Christian. I work in a college that for 182 years has been a Christian college. That college contains a statement in its Articles of Association from 1844, written by friends of Abraham Lincoln, that the teaching of the Christian faith by precept and example shall remain a conspicuous aim of the college. And we do that. We have built the largest and most beautiful classical chapel built anywhere in the world in the last 100 years, and we use it multiple times every day. Every student promises, as part of our honor code, to uphold the mission of the college as it is expressed in that document. That's on the one hand, and it's a very Christian place. I invite you to come. On Sunday afternoons, we have choral evensong, and it's world class, and the chapel is beautiful. Come and see. On the other hand, our college has never required a faith statement to attend. Not the Free Will Baptists who founded it before the Civil War. And the first sentence of the history of the college in its authoritative founding document, the one that I read, which made me think I could do the crazy thing of being a college president, the first sentence is, the denomination of Christians known as Free Will Baptists, along with other friends of education, grateful to God for the prevalence in the land of civil and religious freedom and intelligent piety, and believing that sound learning is necessary for the diffusion of sound learning. Do you guys get imprimis? We diffuse sound learning in the millions. Is necessary to the preservation of these blessings. And therefore, we hereby endow and found a college. Those are our purposes: civil and religious freedom and intelligent piety. Why do those two things go together? We put on our Christmas card every year. For 25 years, I've been the president of Hillsdale College. a quote from one of the most beautiful letters any president, any statesman in any country ever wrote. And it is probably the first time that an executive of any country outside Israel wrote a letter to a bunch of Jews addressing them as equal citizens. And the quote, that's not the quote we use on the card, but the letter, which is not long, it's very beautiful. It's a letter to the Hebrew congregation in Newport, Rhode Island. It is now no more that we speak of religious toleration, as if it were by the indulgence of some that others enjoy their inherent natural rights. We may congratulate ourselves upon a wider policy which gives to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance. May the children of the stock of Abraham know peace, each free to worship beneath his own vine and fig tree, there being none to make him afraid. Now, when I say that America is the Christian country par excellence, what I mean is that. I mean that Jesus says, my kingdom is not of this world. And if you study politics, which happens to be my subject, you find out that when you study political regimes, you just always begin with two questions: who rules, and in virtue of what principle? Look at ancient Israel, for example. That is a very remarkable phenomenon, and that's 1,500, 2,000 years before Socrates. At that time, religion was very particular. It was family worship. It was burning fires in every home to the lares in Greek, to the ancestors, your ancestors, who would bless you if you fed them part of your food. And they were your gods. And the gods of the city were the gods of the founding families of the city, the aristocrats. You can see that, by the way, if you go through Pompeii, which is about 20 years after the time of Jesus, where you can still see those fires, and that's very late. And that's 2,500 years after the covenant with Abraham. And what does God say to Abraham? Into a world where it's like that, he says, I will be your God, and you will be my people, and this will be a blessing to all the peoples on the face of the earth. Universal monotheism, born right there. And it's a tremendous fact. It flashes like lightning in the ancient world. And then Jesus comes along later. Now, what happens in what we Christians call the Old Testament, what happens in the ancient world is that with the Israeli people is that God appoints people to rule them and gives them laws. And there are tribunals and enforcement. And they get their direct authority from God. And that means if the people of Israel don't like it, and as you know, it's the most famous thing about them, they are a stiff-necked people. Turns out it's really hard to be the chosen people. You get beat up all the time, and you're always falling short. It's terrible. And if they don't like it, however, these are the ones appointed. But that's only for the Jews. It is a universal religion, and it is a political religion, but it is not universally political. And it's amazing if you know something of the story of those times, that thing happened there. It's a revelation. It's awesome, right? Well, Jesus comes along, and that's different in some obvious ways. Now, I believe that Jesus is the source of the salvation of every person who ever lived or will live, and I believe that that's necessary and true. And I believe it is the duty of Christians to proselytize, among others. Evangelism, that means giving the good news. And I also believe that Jesus meant it when he says that his kingdom was not of this world. And you won't find that structure in the New Testament of laws and rulers and enforcement. Inside churches, yes, but the churches are voluntary organizations. So when George Washington says, it is now no more that we speak of religious toleration, he's citing a world historical fact. We are the first people to do that. And that means that when in the Declaration of Independence, when they say the laws of nature and of nature's God, what does that expression mean? That means the things we know by reason and the things we know by faith operate in a similar way on the moral level, and we will make our laws according to them. If you doubt the weight of that, read Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis or The Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis. That's kind of a grim book, but it's awesome. And what he says is, on the moral level, we all know. Like, you probably ought not to cheat on your wife. You probably ought to not kill anybody, except maybe with justification. But then it's not murder, you see. In other words, we know those things. And we will make our laws, and they are told us by God in Revelation, and they make sense, too. Do you know, Cato the Elder ended every speech in the Roman Senate for most of his life with Carthago delenda est. And for the rest, Carthage must be destroyed. Why destroyed? The Carthaginians sacrificed babies to the wicked gods they served. And that means that you can't really believe in a God who does things like that. They did, but the Romans, they killed them all. And because they were wicked, God is good, or else he can't be God. Now, the revolution in America is as dramatic. Is it as dramatic? It is the most dramatic thing in human history in politics. Because first of all, in an age of monarchy and aristocracy, we take on this ruler, and he's the strongest ruler on earth. And his answer to the Declaration of Independence? He said, I was born to be your king, and you were born to be my people. And I have to be good to you and rule you, and I don't have any choice in it, and you don't have any choice but to obey. That's how he answered the Declaration of Independence, which says that is not true and never true. People get their power to rule us by consent. I am a very powerful college president. You know why? Everybody I work with is a volunteer. I get my authority from them. They know in advance what it is. I didn't make it up. It's old. I happen to love it. I went there to work because of it. Everybody's a volunteer. And we get on because of that. It means we can argue all we want to. And so, if we're going to save our country, and I will tell you, I've been studying this subject all my life, and we may not be able. This is as bad as the Revolutionary War and the Civil War, because every fundamental thing is contested. And what I think is, we can only save it by going back to the old-time religion, and that means in Christianity, and that means in politics, the founding of the United States of America. And we should follow that with all our hearts and all our minds. And if we die doing that, we will have died in a good cause. And if we prevail in some other cause, that would be shameful.